And we're off. 11 games tonight, and 5 of the first 6 games went to overtime, at which point I'm like, oh man, this could be a long night. None of the rest went to overtime, but one of them almost did and shouldn't have. We'll get to the discussion of no defense, or is it no goaltending, when we get to that game. All right, starting things off. We start off with the Vegas Golden Knights in against the Toronto Maple Leafs. This was a really solid defensive game. This is a good road game for Vegas and a solid home game for Toronto. Both of them, I think, played the game the way they wanted to. Early Leafs power play, the shots were 4-0 for Toronto, 3 minutes into the game, and there was lots of pressure early. Subban, very good start to the game, and I think that helped Subban, that he got all those shots early, saved him, and he got comfortable. Keep in mind, this is Subban starting in his hometown in front of family, and Marc-Andre Fleury doesn't have a good record against Toronto, so give him a shot. The Leafs went to the power play with 6 minutes left. It was not successful. Vegas got a late power play as well. Their power play was not successful. I'm going to say straight out, the referee was calling everything in this game, and it was ridiculous. It's ridiculous when you're looking at replays, and the announcers are going, oh, I guess that's the penalty? Or, what, that's it? That's what they're calling. Okie dokie. And then saying, well, I hope it's consistent the whole game. And meanwhile, I'm like, please don't. Please don't keep calling these cheap penalties. Like, just, ugh. Second period, Vegas gets an early power play because they kept getting power plays. The Leafs had no shots in the first half of that second period. They were hanging on. The Leafs got a power play, and I said they needed a goal. They needed a shot is really what they needed. And they couldn't set up that power play, and you could feel Leaf fans getting more and more anxious. Like, hey, we've got to get this going. That being said, even though the power play didn't generate any shots, they did get some momentum, and they managed 9 shots when there was about a minute left in that period. So they did have some momentum. They ended up with 10 shots overall in the second period. And you got the feeling that coming out of that period, they felt better than they did in the first half. Third period, Anderson looked pretty sharp, but Subban looked sharp as well. Leafs got another power play, and again, the Leafs can't set up. This is, again, something that I don't know where the advanced stat would be for this, but not just measuring like how many power play goals a team gets per 2 minutes, because sometimes you're going to get those 10-second power plays, 20-second power plays. Well, they all count as power plays. So a team might go 0 for 4, but only have like a minute and a half of actual power play time. But measuring how long it takes a team to get set up, where they have the puck in the other zone, and all 5 guys are spread out, and you can actually try to set up a shot. They didn't do that well. That being said, Pacioretty would open the scoring at 4 minutes and 8 seconds, and right away you're thinking, hey, is this going to be one of those games that goes against Toronto? Low-scoring games. Vegas got a power play after that. However, it turns the other way. The Leafs got a power play, and they're calling everything. Like, this was absolutely insane. It's a 1-goal game, third period, and they're just calling everything. And this isn't the only game this happened in tonight. There were other games I'm like, why are they calling so many penalties? I don't know. Maybe there was a directive from the league that there was too much slashing or hooking or holding or something going on that wasn't being called. But tonight was just ridiculous. Then during the penalty kill, there was a Vegas broken stick. I tracked that. Matthews gets the power play goal from Tavares and Riley at 9 minutes and 14 seconds. But of course, Vegas went back to the power play after that because this is what this game was. Now, 1-1, we go into overtime. In the overtime, Tavares scores from Marner at 2 minutes and 33 seconds. Beautiful play by Mitch Marner. Basically holding on to it as long as he had to. Pass over to Tavares. Tavares roofed it. Subban caught a piece of it. It just gets in under the crossbar. And at least Tavares hit the net this time last game with a power play shot. Open net. He missed it. Your final score is 2-1 for Toronto. Again, for Vegas, this can't feel like a big loss because Subban saved 35 out of 37. Anderson saved 37 out of 38. Your 3 stars are Anderson, Subban, and Tavares. So I'm trying to think of the last time I saw Malcolm Subban as one of the 3 stars, but he earned that tonight. Power plays, Vegas goes 0 for 5. Toronto went 1 for 6. So a lethal power play for Vegas, held off the score sheet by Anderson and the Leafs. Shots were 13-7 Leafs in the first, 14-10 in favor of Vegas in the second. In the third, 15-12 in favor of Vegas. Shots were 2-2 in the overtime. Final shots 38-37 in favor of the Golden Knights. So, Freddie Anderson, pretty good game. And it did kind of have a playoff vibe to it once the game woke up in the third period. Up until then, again, you could feel the tension with Leaf fans as the shot clock stayed at 0 in that second period through over half of it. Yeah, you could feel that. Anyways, moving along. Washington. Florida tonight at home against Washington. The Caps. I don't know how to go about this. So the Caps came back from behind. But Florida blew another lead. And this is why I'm not completely on board with Florida necessarily being ready to go on a run here. And Florida, going into this game, I heard comments like one of the hottest teams in the league. I'm thinking, well, yeah, they're not losing in regulation, but they're still having a hard time holding a lead. Their goaltending numbers haven't been great, but I did jinx Bobrovsky by saying his numbers were getting better. Should have seen this was going to happen. And it happens early. John Carlson from Kempny and Ovechkin at 25 seconds. It wasn't the only game where there was a goal in the first minute. Frankie Vetrano, however, scores at 1:55. That's 2 goals on 3 shots in the entire game so far. And I was like, oh, it's going to be one of those games. Little did I know there would be a few of those games tonight where defense and goaltending, it's optional. It's fine. The Caps got a power play, and out of that, the best opportunity was a shorthanded chance for Frank Vetrano. Vetrano had a very good game. Didn't get one of the stars, but not surprised he didn't, and nor did he deserve it. But before the end of that first period, Connolly scores from Stralman and Boyle at 14:26. Brian Boyle fits right in with what they're doing in Florida. He had a good game tonight. Pretty strong shot blocked by him. Hurt his foot, but he stayed in there. So it's 2-1 Florida after 1. Second period, Barkov. I knew Barkov was going to go on a run. That's 3 games in a row that he's had a goal. From Dadonov at 27 seconds. And Huberdeau forced the Kempny turnover, but as I recorded all this, he didn't get an assist on that. He didn't actually get the puck over to Dadonov, who passed it to Barkov. But Huberdeau was the one that forced that turnover, forced Kempny in the corner. Ovechkin then scored from Kuznetsov and Carlson on the power play at 6 minutes and 13 seconds. The Panthers got a power play at 7 minutes, and they got a brief 5-on-3. I think it was like 5 seconds. However, Ovechkin would score his second. Ovechkin's starting to heat up. From Orlov and Backstrom at 12 minutes and 14 seconds. The Caps then got a power play. So we've gone from a game where Florida's up 3-1 to a 3-3 tie, and the Caps are putting on the pressure. The Panthers' pressure caused the Caps to take a penalty. The Caps then took another. So that's a 5-second 5-on-3 now for the Panthers. Now during the 5-on-4, Dadonov scores from Huberdeau at 18:59. So at 1 minute and 1 second left in the second period, Florida scores, and we have a wild one at this stage. 4-3 in favor of Florida after 2. In the third period, 44 seconds in, Wilson from Kuznetsov, and there you go. Dryden Hunt had a very good chance that was robbed by Holtby. The Caps got a power play later on in the period. They didn't score on it, and we go to overtime. And in overtime, at 17 seconds, look at this, 25 seconds, 44 seconds, 17 seconds, Wilson from Carlson and Kuznetsov. So Florida having a bit of a problem tonight with goals right away, other than in the second where they scored right away. But yeah, Wilson from Carlson and Kuznetsov. Carlson had a good game. Kuznetsov, everybody you want to get on the board if you're a fan of the Caps did. Holtby, not a fantastic game, 32 saves on 36 shots, but he saved what he had to and he wins the game. Bobrovsky saves 26 out of 31. Like I said, his stats take a bit of a hit tonight. Your 3 stars were Wilson, Ovechkin, and Barkov, who again, as I said, continues his goal-scoring streak. It's at 3 games now. Power plays, Washington 1 for 4, Florida 1 for 5. The shots in the first, 11-7 Florida, 13-10 Florida in the second, 13-11 in favor of the Caps in the third. Both teams had 1 shot in the overtime. Washington got the one that mattered. Final shots 36-31 in favor of the Florida Panthers. So, Yeah, I'm not completely on board with Florida because they keep blowing leads just a little bit too much for my liking. But we'll see if that continues or not on the weekend. Next up, Pittsburgh. Uh, Pittsburgh's got a bit of a comeback streak in them, don't they? So they're down 3-0 against Boston in their last game. They were then up 4-3 before they lost 6-4. Sloppy game, sure, but the comeback is in them, and it was in them again tonight as well. And the funny thing is, Malkin seems to have got himself on track tonight. So this was Malkin's first game where he really looked like Evgeny Malkin, to me anyways, that he's played so far this season. He obviously hasn't played many for me to say that about, but I thought he played his best game tonight. Sazika scores from Pulock and Del Cole at 19 seconds. Yeah. First minute of the game, 19 seconds. The Penguins pushed at 7 minutes. The shots at that point were 7-2 in favor of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had a very good road period in that first period. Just couldn't solve Varlamov. Second period, and I put up here again, this has an Isles feel to it. Islanders games like the one they had against Buffalo, I kind of feel like, I don't have to worry about this one. Of all the games that are going, all these games are going at once. Islanders won't be a problem. And then what happened next made me think, yeah, you're probably right, Shannon. Clutterbuck from Cizikas and Pelech, shorthanded at 6:28. Then Pelech scores from Barzal and Lee at 9:26. So they make it 3-0. It's halfway through the game. And at that point, I'm thinking, am I going to need more than 6 magnets for the goals that are going to be scored by the Islanders tonight? And the Islanders' penalty kill, when it was called upon in that second period, was solid. And the Penguins' power play was ineffective. It turned out to be 0 for 2 tonight, but that really wasn't the problem. Early on in this game, and I was watching this on MSG Plus, and the announcer says the Islanders haven't allowed a goal 5-on-5 in the last 8 periods. And AJ says, you're not a big believer in jinxes, are you? And he said, no. Which is fine, because in the third, he jinxed him, I guess. McCann from Marino and Dumoulin at 1:38, so there goes that. It was up to 10 periods at that point that they hadn't allowed a goal 5-on-5. The Islanders went without a shot in the first 6 minutes. I thought they were guilty of hanging on. And again, this is why early in the season you can't be doing this. You can't just hang on and just, all right, well, we're just going to sit back and let them come at us. Don't do that. Murray robbed Beauvillier. Beauvillier, great chance. Murray robs him. It goes all the way to the other end of the ice. Rust scores from McCann and Malkin at 6:16 seconds after that happened. And 3-2. And you can feel the momentum in Pittsburgh's favor and that Pittsburgh's believing in themselves. Malkin then scores from McCann and Ricola at 8 minutes and 48 seconds. Barry Trotz, having seen enough, decides, I'm calling a timeout. And he was right. I absolutely 100% agreed with calling the timeout because Pittsburgh was on their way to a victory in the regulation. Too many men penalty on the Penguins at the halfway mark, approximately. And then late in the period, what I liked was both teams were going for the win in the last couple of minutes that third period. This wasn't two teams sitting back just playing catch with one another. These were two teams that wanted that extra point in regulation and to make sure the other guys got nothing. But it went to overtime. In overtime, Varlamov denied Crosby. Excellent opportunity for Crosby that was denied. However, Rust would score at 3:25. That's his second goal of the game. And that ends it. 4-3 win for Pittsburgh. So the winning streak is over for the Islanders, but they did lose this in overtime, so they still get the point. Great game. This was a great game. And for Pittsburgh, this is a very important game. At least it felt that way. Murray saved 20 out of 23. He didn't look great in the first and second. However, once that third goal went in, he locked it down like Grant Fuhr. Varlamov, 35 saves on 39 shots for him. 3 stars, McCann, Malkin, and Pelech. Power plays, 0 for 2 for Pittsburgh, 0 for 1 for the Islanders. Clean game. Shots were 11-8 Pittsburgh in the first, 15-8 Pittsburgh in the second, 11-6 Pittsburgh in the third, and 2-1 Pittsburgh in the overtime. Final shots, 39-23 in favor of Pittsburgh. And I know Islander fans have said, the shots don't really matter. In this game, it really felt like Pittsburgh had the puck control for the most part. They just didn't have any puck luck until the third period and in overtime. And then it all flowed in their direction. And once that first goal went in, you just felt that something was different in this game. But that's that whole fear of playing Pittsburgh thing that I've talked about before. All right, next up, Montreal. Coming off of a big win, Montreal goes into Philly tonight, and this was a good game too. Carey Price steals a point tonight in Philly. Price denied Konechny. Farabee was denied as well. However, you can't deny them all. Myers would score at 13:51. It's 1-0 Philly, and they were really out-shooting Montreal and out-chancing them. The Flyers had a 2-on-1 that just failed shortly after that. Looked like they were going to get a good chance out of it. Just didn't happen. Price then got kind of shaken up, and I thought, now how many Montreal fans seeing him get shaken up on a shot are thinking, no. As much as some may say, oh, well, we've got Kincaid, and that's better than last year's backup. The idea of if Price gets hurt has to scare everybody. I was kind of frightened seeing that he was a little bit laboring. Stayed in the game, and he was great. The Flyers had a power play late. Didn't score on it. And the Flyers got a lot of power plays tonight. Montreal didn't have any. So if you're a Habs fan and you're upset about that, I can't say that I blame you entirely for this. And I know by that third period, Montreal was kind of fed up with it too. Second period, Van Riemsdyk scores from Voracek and Giroux at 49 seconds. So again, we're seeing a quick strike goal in the first minute of a period. This is something that it feels like we're seeing way more of this year than we usually do. The Flyers got a power play shortly thereafter, and Price was their best penalty killer. Your best penalty killer, if you have a good penalty kill, is usually your goaltender. The Flyers were more than doubling Montreal in shots at that point. However, against the flow of the play, Sherratt scores from Cousins and Danault at 13:44, and I said the Habs needed that spark. They needed something so they could go into that intermission between the second and the third and say, hey, we're still in this. And they had that. Then in the third period, Shea Weber, he scores from Jonathan Drouin at 4:05. We've got a tie game. Flyers get another power play. And again, Montreal was unhappy at this point. Claude Julien was quite unhappy. Twarynski then got a penalty shot, which doesn't count in your power plays. But it was saved because Carey Price had decided we're at least getting a point out of this. They go to overtime. It only lasts 55 seconds. Again, the first minute goal. Couturier from Konechny and Provorov at 55 seconds. It was the first shot of overtime. It was the one that counted. And it just trickles through Price. Price saved 40 out of 43 shots. It's a 3-2 overtime loss. Every game on this board went to overtime. Hart saved 22 out of 24, and Carter Hart's getting better. Your three stars are Price, Couturier, and Myers. Power plays, as I said, Montreal had none. Philadelphia went 0 for 6. So if they'd had anything on the power play, they would have ended this in regulation. If Montreal had a power play, maybe they would have ended it in regulation. Shots, 18-12 for Philly in the first, 16-7 Philly in the second, 8-5 Philly in the third, 1-0 in the overtime. Final shots, 43-24 in favor of the Philadelphia Flyers. It was an entertaining game. Again, I see what I can when all of the games are on at once. I did see the overtimes, and I did try to spend as much time with these games in the third period as possible. And this was an entertaining one. And for Philadelphia, the comeback that has been pretty strong for them continues. And they add another to the list of teams they've knocked off. And for Montreal, you get the point, and Carey Price playing some of his best hockey right now. That being said, I now need to change boards. All right, so on this board, there's 3 hockey games and obnoxiousness right here. We'll get to that. Right now, we're talking about the Rangers and Carolina. And so Lundqvist has decided he's going to single-handedly drag the Rangers to the playoffs. Can he still do that? And if he can, is Luongo sitting somewhere and going, geez, maybe I could still have played? I mean, look at what Henrik's doing. Whatever he's doing is working. At any rate, the Canes got an early power play. They got another power play shortly thereafter, but that would be it. They'd have 2 power plays in this game. That was it. And Lundqvist robbed Svechnikov. Absolutely robbed him. The Canes got pressure. The crowd was really into it, and it was a dominant first period for the Hurricanes. They put up more than a shot per minute in that first period. However, Panarin scores from Stroman fast at 19:32, so 28 seconds left in the first period, and Lundqvist had stolen that first period. And it has to be frustrating to be playing on a team and go, look at the shots. We're up how much? And they're ahead of us on the score sheet. That has to be frustrating. Second period, they were dominating in shots, still behind 1-0. And then Hamilton scores from Slavin and Teravainen at 14:32. So finally, over halfway through the game, they bust through. All right, it's a tie game. Let's go for the winner. Let's go for the lead. Let's go for something. However, Lemieux scored from D'Angelo and Buchnevich at 18:02. So the game remained tied for 3.5 minutes, and then the Rangers said, all right, we'll just go ahead and take it back. And you can look at this one of two ways. Either Lundqvist stole the game, which he did, or they got out-dueled in net again, which they did. So for Carolina, is there a goaltending problem? It's too early to say it, but the overall numbers haven't been fantastic. That said, the Canes did push right up until the buzzer, and Lundqvist did steal this game. I don't want to overanalyze Carolina's goaltending at this early stage of the season necessarily. Third period, 1 minute and 15 seconds in, Buchnevich gets a goal. It's 3-1. Somehow the New York Rangers, that had at that point, I believe that was the 15th shot of the game, had 3 goals. Carolina had about 35, 36 shots, and they had 1. So again, as a player, has to be frustrating to look up on the scoreboard and see that. And then Pesce had a really good chance. Lundqvist said, nope, that's not going in. And it looked like Lundqvist was winning this more than the Rangers. The Rangers are just along for the ride. However far King Henrik will pull them. Aho, however, scored from Dzingel and Netchus at 15:58. That made things interesting, so they pull the goalie. And you know what's coming next. Fox scores from Panarin into the empty net at 18:35, and the Rangers hang on and win 4-2. Lundqvist, 45 saves on 47 shots. Mrazek, 15 saves on 18 shots. 3 stars, Lundqvist, Buchnevich, and Sebastian Aho is the 3rd star. Power plays, Rangers go 1 for 2, Carolina goes 0 for 2. The shots in this game are 22-6 Carolina in the first, 12-8 Carolina in the second, 13-5 Carolina in the third. Final shots, 47-19 for Carolina. This is why when I updated the power rankings board tonight, I thought, okay, I kind of have to drop Carolina, but I don't want to overreact because of the amount of pressure they put on him because Lundqvist really stole it. So that's where things get kind of tricky when I'm figuring out who's getting dropped and risen where and what happens. And then at the end of the week when I do the Saturday power rankings, people will just look at the record for the week and say, oh, well, this team lost 3 this week. Why did they? And that team won 1 out of 3, and this team won 2 out of 3. I don't see it being that simple. I try to go by who I think is playing well. And right now, Carolina's playing well. They're just not getting the results, which, again, could very well point towards the goaltending or the defense. Moving along. Ottawa and LA. Well, I jinxed this morning by saying Ottawa plays relatively entertaining games. This was not a very entertaining game. I honestly didn't spend much time on this, although because this one started at 4:30 and all the other games started at 4, there was a period of time where this was the only game that was playing. So I got to watch a lot of it at different points in time. The Kings got an early power play. Borowiecki really nicely broke up a Carter chance. Carter was kind of in on the breakaway, and Borowiecki dove and knocked the puck off his stick. That was really nice. Tierney had a shot at an open net and decided, nope. He wouldn't be the last Senator to have a shot at an open net and go, he missed it. The Kings get a power play. That was their second power play, and they didn't score on either of them. That's the only power plays they got tonight. The Sens got a power play with 5:18 left, but of course the Senators' power play doesn't score either. So both of them lived up to their reputations as being a non-entity on the power play tonight. Second period, the Sens were really taking over in shots. It felt like they had all the momentum, which means Brown scores from Kopitar at 6:51, and that was against the flow of the play, but they all count. And the Sens got a power play shortly thereafter. They didn't score on it. However, Duclair would score from Shabbat and Kachuk at 17:23. So it's 1-1 after 2. Third period, we go without scoring until the 9:50 mark, where Anisimov scores from Ennis and Chalapik. And then Nilsson robbed Carter. So Jeff Carter could have had, should have had, maybe might have had moments and chances, just couldn't get anything in there. The Senators got a 3-on-1 late. They didn't get that. There was a goalie pull with 1 minute and 30 seconds left, and then Connor Brown had a shot at that empty net and decided to pass it instead. Guess what happens? LA intercepts the pass. They go up to the other end of the rink, and with 8 seconds left in the game, Toffoli scores the tying goal from Roy. It's going to overtime. And I thought, if Brown shoots that, it's 3-1. At the very least, he doesn't pass it right to the LA play. That was just such a bad idea. In overtime, Shabbat got an early chance. Nilsson then absolutely made a beautiful leg save to rob Toffoli. The Kings did control the puck early on. However, Pajot would get it on a turnover and put it in at 3 minutes and 12 seconds. So they win it in overtime 3-2, do those Senators, and for the Kings, these struggles continue. Campbell saved 30 out of 33. Nilsson saved 26 out of 28. Many of them highlight reel saves. Your 3 stars are Pajot, Duclair, and Nilsson. Power plays. Both teams went 0 for 2. Shots, 9 apiece in the first period. 15-6 for Ottawa in the second. 11-6 for LA in the third. And in the overtime, 3-2 in favor of Ottawa. Final shots, 33 for the Sens, 28 for the Kings. Ended up being an entertaining game at the end, but boy, getting there. So yeah, Ottawa clearly not concerned about finishing 31st and where they're going to end up in the draft and all this other wonderful stuff. And the work ethic is there. So no matter what Ottawa does this year, I'm not concerned. It's nice to see the work ethic. I think of, and again, I mention this often, the year that Toronto ended up drafting Matthews, they didn't lose a lot of games by more than 1 goal. They outworked their opponents quite often. They just didn't have the top-end talent to win. I kind of see Ottawa this year as being in that same situation. Different way of getting there, but it's basically the same situation. And it's nice to see them pulling out victories here and there as well. Moving along. Chicago. You know what? I'm fine with this result. I think Vancouver getting a little too much too soon. I think a 9-3-3 record coming into tonight. I don't want to see the team go without that slump until December, January. I'd rather see them go through some kind of a mini slump of some sort now. Go through that adversity now and have Edler figure it out, because Edler's starting to make me crazy with penalties he's been taking over the last few games. And it's just, it's one of those things that last year he was fantastic. I really liked Edler to the point where I was like, you know what? Yeah, they should re-sign Edler and keep him. Tried my patience tonight. First period, the shots were 5-1 Chicago at 3 minutes. It was not a good start for Vancouver to this game. The Hawks did need that strong start at home, though, after that road trip. And then DeBrincat scores from Strome and Kane at 6 minutes and 41 seconds. The Hawks were up 12-3 in shots at the halfway mark. And then the Canucks got their opportunities. By the end of this period, there were an absolute bonkers number of shots both ways. Shaw would score on the power play from Strome and Kane at 18:43. So the Canucks penalty kill, which has shown some weakness over the last couple weeks, it's kind of showed up again tonight. The Canucks got a power play late. After that, they didn't score on it. However, in the second period, that power play continued. Miller scored from Pettersson and Horvat at 1 minute and 2 seconds. So JT Miller with a goal tonight, and it's 2-1. Markstrom was what was keeping this close. Not only Markstrom, but JT Miller, his forechecking, his strength on the puck, his overall play tonight was really, really good. I understand that he made some mistakes here and there, but Miller, he gets a goal, and I thought his compete level was really high tonight. The Hawks got a power play. The Canucks got a power play. They didn't score on those either way, but it's 2-1 entering the third period. In the third period, Sutter had a good chance. It missed high. Markstrom reached back to stop a goal, so the puck gets past him. He reached back and got it before it hit the goal line. The Hawks got a power play at 8 minutes and 29 seconds. There was a solid shorthanded chance for the Vancouver Canucks. And then Edler took another penalty. So Edler took the penalty that caused that, and then he took another. And it's like, are you intentionally trying? Because this, I think, is like 6 penalties for him in 3 games. I swear, I think it's been 2 every game for the last 3 games. The Canucks did press after that. But Crawford was really, really good tonight. Crawford played a very good game. And then Miller got a high-sticking penalty near the 15-minute mark. And you can't keep giving these guys power play opportunities at home. Kane scores from Keith and Strome on the power play at 14:54. And Patrick Kane has pretty good numbers against the Vancouver Canucks over the years. And that continued tonight. He had 2 helpers and a goal. They pull the goalie. Camp scores from Mata at 17:53. Minute and 6 seconds after that, Jake Virtanen scores from Edler and Gaudette at 18:59. So Edler gets a point. Doesn't really matter, but he got a point. I think he's up to an even 10 now. And Virtanen, that's another goal for him. So he remains pretty hot. But then they pulled the goalie again with 6 seconds left. It's Brennan Saad into an empty net. So 2 of the goals are empty netters, but it's a 5-2 win for the Chicago Blackhawks, and they needed this. Chicago really desperately needed this. Vancouver kind of sort of needed this too. So now they go to Winnipeg tomorrow night. Hopefully a little more focused right off the start. The Hawks jumped on them early. They've got to be a little bit stronger off the start. And it makes me kind of nervous too that I'm going to the game on Sunday, and that's a matinee game. It starts at 1 o'clock my time, and I'm thinking, if they struggle this game and the next one, that Sunday game at home, that could be tough. Although the Devils will be playing their 3rd game in 4 days as well. That could be a really rough first period. That could be really sloppy hockey. Anyways, Markstrom saved 32 out of 35. Crawford saves 36 out of 38. Your 3 stars are Kane, Crawford, and Strome. Shots 17-17 in the first period. 12-10 Vancouver in the second. 10-9 Chicago in the third. Final shots 38-37. So that's pretty good. Power plays. Chicago went 2 for 6. Vancouver went 1 for 4. So again, that penalty kill. The Canucks are going to have to work on that just a little bit because you can't do that. That being said, moving along. Oh, God. So Nashville tonight had a lead. And then Colorado scored an avalanche goals. I don't even need to put notes on this game, right? First period, Makar from Nieto and Graves at 49 seconds. So again, we have another game where there's a goal in the first minute. Ellis scored from Johansson at 12:08. McKinnon scored a power play goal from Makar and Burakovsky at 17:56. So Cale Makar with 2 points in the first period. The Avs come out of this one up 2-1, and they actually had a power play to start the second period. However, at 1:25, Forsberg scores from Arvidsson and Johansson to tie it up. And then at 4:55, Duchesne scores on the power play from Arvidsson and Yossi. It is 3-2 in favor of the Nashville Predators. They're having a really good game. Then 30 seconds later, Donskoy from McKinnon and Calvert. While I'm putting that on the board, Graves from Kadri and Jost, although it looked like Jost tipped it to me. I thought it was Jost's goal, 5:46. Either way, Graves had a good game too as well. And then while we're trying to figure out what's going on here, Burakovsky scored from Hammond Johnson at 6:57. That's 3 goals in a period of a minute and a half. So Laviolette does the only thing he can do. He pulls Rinne and puts in UC Saros. The Predators get a power play after that, so it's like, okay, this could be that big swing in the game where the Preds take the control back because this game looks crazy. Nope. Shorthanded goal for the Avalanche. Nieto from Compher and Graves at 7:47. Yeah, that's 3 points for Graves. That's a shorthanded goal, and I had to put up here shorthanded goal. And what's happening? How is this happening that over a period of 2 minutes and 20 seconds, they'd scored 4 times? They're not done yet. Nieto was followed up by Calvert. Calvert scored from McKinnon and Makar at 10 minutes and 1 second. At that point, I was like, okay, I'm out of magnets for Colorado. Don't be jerks now. Just stop. They were jerks. Donskoy scored from Johnson and McKinnon at 13:26. It's 8-3 at this stage for Colorado. 8. The most goals that have been scored by anybody this year is 8. I'm pretty sure Vancouver's the only team that's done it. And tonight they did it. Belmar then got a breakaway late in the game, and he kind of sort of bobbled it at the end, sort of like he went, I shouldn't score here. I don't want to end up putting us into double digits anytime soon. The Avs got a late power play as well. And then I go back to the game in the third, and I'm getting the screen saying, thanks for tuning into NHL Center Ice. There's no action on right now. I'm like, wait, There's a whole period of hockey left. What do you mean there's nothing on? So the feed got cut. And all I'm thinking is this Nashville? Did Nashville management talk to NHL Center Ice and say, look, can you just not show the rest of the game because we're kind of embarrassed with what's going on out here? And I was kind of ticked off that the feed was gone. I wanted to see what might happen in that third period. Smith scored from Benito and Grimaldi at 12:41. Must have been a beautiful goal. I didn't see it during the live feeds. Keep in mind when I do these reviews, I do them right after the games. So I'm just giving you guys what I saw, what the app tells me. So all the highlight reels and all that stuff, I'm not staying up till 12 o'clock tonight to see absolutely all of it and then start the review. That's bonkers. The feed did return in time for Donskoy scoring from Burakovsky and Tynan at 17:53. So the feed came back, and as soon as it came back, Colorado scored again. And I was like, okay, that's what I was watching, Colorado scoring all these goals, and then he took it away, and when it comes back, they start scoring again. That's a power play goal, and this is a record Nashville's not going to like. This is the first time, and this is what the Colorado announcer said, the first time in history that the Nashville Predators have given up 9 goals in a game. So I didn't see this coming, but neither did you, and neither did anybody else. Nobody was calling Colorado scoring 9 goals tonight. Rene saved 17 out of 22. Saros saved 19 out of 23. Francouz saved 20 out of 24. I didn't think he had a very good game, but it doesn't matter because they scored 9. 3 stars are Donskoy, who got the hat trick with that power play goal, that 9th goal. McKinnon and Graves. So this was exactly the game Colorado needed to get themselves going again and get themselves back into the top row of my power rankings. Power plays, Nashville 1 for 4, Colorado 2 for 6. Shots, 18-6 in the first for Colorado, 18-6 in the second for Colorado, 12-9 in favor of Nashville in the third. Final shots, 45-24 in favor of the Colorado Avalanche. That is a crazy game, and it made the review longer by probably about a minute over what it would have been otherwise. That being said, I now have to change boards again. Alrighty then. New Jersey. New Jersey went in against Calgary tonight. And I thought New Jersey played a really solid road period in the first. Although the Flames led early when it came to the shots. Jack Hughes from Hall and Butcher at 15:44. If you are sleeping on Jack Hughes right now, if you're saying Hughes is going to be a bust or Hughes isn't very good, don't be surprised if he ends up winning the Calder. He's been picking it up lately. New Jersey's up 1-0 after 1. Second period, Ryan scored early from Michael Stone, so at 3 minutes and 2 seconds. However, at 5:21, Gusev scores from Hughes. So Jack Hughes with a goal and an assist. The Flames then got a power play. They wouldn't score on that. But the Flames started to really take over the game after they fell behind 2-1. Monahan scored from Hanifin and Goudreau at 9 minutes and 57 seconds. They then got a power play at around the 13-minute mark. Backlund scored from Hanifin and Anderson at 14:53. So Rasmus Anderson, that's 3 assists in the last 2 games for him. So he's picking it up. That is a power play goal. Then they get another power play goal late in that period, and they don't fail. Hanifin from Bennett and Backlund at 19:46. Hanifin with a goal and a couple of helpers tonight. And it was 4-2 Calgary after 2. And you kind of feel bad for New Jersey, but at the same time, that the shots tell you just how much Calgary dominated that second period. Third period, the Flames got a power play at around 7 minutes and 8 seconds. Or at 7 minutes and 8 seconds, not around. At 7:08. Jack Hughes ends up hitting the post after they killed it. But after he hits the post, the puck goes all the way down the other end. Johnny Gaudreau from Sean Monahan at 10:01. So, Gaudreau with another goal tonight. He continues to heat up. Monahan gets the helper on that one. Monahan had the goal earlier. Calgary wins this one 5-2. Not a lot of tension in it. Blackwood saved 32 out of 37. Riddick saved 21 out of 23. Solid when he needed to be. Hanifin, Backlund, and Gaudreau are your 3 stars. New Jersey's power play 0 for 3. Calgary's power play 2 for 6. Shots, 9 apiece in the first period. 17-4 Calgary in the second period. 12-10 Calgary in the third as they take it home. Final shots, 38-23 in favor of the Flames. And for New Jersey, it's another setback. It's another 4-6-4. And I don't know. I get the feeling that New Jersey just not in the cards that they're going to make the playoffs. That being said, Jack Hughes is heating up. So there's good news, bad news for New Jersey fans right now. May not end up being a playoff team, but if Hughes becomes the player that was envisioned when he was drafted first overall in June, it's a pretty solid run. And then you're looking at potentially picking up another really good draft pick in a draft in 2020, which is supposed to be pretty deep and has a lot of top-end talent in it. So we'll see. Moving along. Columbus in against Arizona. Columbus continues the theme of the night, which is a goal in the first minute of the first period. Nyquist from Jones and Bjorkstrand at 14 seconds. 14 seconds. First shot in the net. They would hold that lead until 11:24 when Carl Soderberg scores from Krause and Lyubushkin. So it's 1-1 after one. And it felt like a Coyotes game for the most part. They outshot them badly, but Columbus hung around. Second period, Columbus did pressure through the first 7 minutes of that period. You got the feeling that, hey, they understood that they had a chance to steal a game on the road, and they needed to. There was a late power play for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Check out who gets the goal. It's Emil Bemstrom with, I believe, his first NHL goal from Atkinson and Nyquist at 17:36. So Nyquist gets on the board with the goal and a helper to that stage of the game. There was a 4-on-4 late. I felt like 4-on-4 would favor Arizona. It didn't matter, nobody scored on it. So it's 2-2 entering the third. In the third period, both teams exchanged power plays. There were great saves at both ends. So they were gushing over Kemper, and then they were gushing over Korpisalo at the other end. Both goaltenders played really solid games. Bjorkstrand, though, would break the tie from Dubois and Nyquist at 10 minutes and 12 seconds. And then the impressive part was that right after scoring it, they were trying to push for another. So they didn't just sit back with the lead. Sitting back with the lead is death. Don't do that. The Coyotes got a power play with 1 minute and 48 seconds left. They even went to 6-on-4 because they pulled the goaltender. Could not get that puck in there. So close. Great opportunities. Just could not bury it. Columbus holds on by the skin of their teeth. Korpisalo saves 31 out of 33. Kemper saves 30 out of 33. Your three stars are Bjorkstrand, Chychrun, and Korpisalo. So Columbus wins in regulation 3-2. I thought this one was going to overtime for sure. Power plays 1 for 4 for Columbus, 0 for 3 for the Arizona Coyotes. Shots 16-9 in favor of Arizona in the first, 14-7 Columbus in the second. Both teams had 10 shots in the third to finish the game with 33 shots apiece. So yeah, this was an entertaining little game, and Columbus manages to hold on. So Columbus, who hadn't won in 5 games, this is their first win in 6. They really needed this. And for Arizona, it has to feel like an opportunity missed when you see what happened with the Canucks tonight. They had an opportunity to move up there. And of course, Vegas had that setback tonight as well, and you get the feeling like they could have made a move there. We'll see just how tight that Pacific Division is over the next couple of weeks. As everybody gets tested, Arizona's got a really brutal schedule. So we'll see how they come out on the other end of that. Anyways, moving along, the last game of the night. It is obnoxious to have games all finish at 8:30, but have one that starts at 7:30. Schedule maker. San Jose and Minnesota. And it got interesting in the third period, and not in a way that's going to make San Jose fans very happy. All right, there we go. See, that shows you that right after the game I did that, because there were no 3 stars. Everything wasn't done. I was like, okay, the game's finished. Let's get all the boards up. I'll worry about the 3 stars and everything later. This game, goal in the first minute. 52 seconds in. Logan Couture from Kane and Sorensen. Meyer would then score from Hertl and Erik Karlsson at 5:55. And the shots were 6-1 San Jose at that point. So it looked like, all right, so Minnesota didn't show up tonight. So this is going to be a nice, easy game for San Jose. This is what they needed. For Minnesota, their struggles continue. Like, I had the whole narrative stuck in my head at that point. One which continued right up until I did the preview for tomorrow's games that I already posted to the channel. The Wild were being outplayed really, really badly in that first period to that stage. The first power play, however, went to Minnesota. They got some shots. And the power play did fail, but they got a momentum shift out of it. It looked like maybe they were, 16:40, Sorensen scores from Marleau and Couture. Schimmick then scores from Hertl and Meyer at 18:32. So despite the fact that the shots are close, Stalock's out of the game, and so are the Wild. It's 4-0 after one period. Second period, the Sharks looked like they had a goal. They reviewed it. They said, nope, not a goal. So Sharks not happy about that. At 15:51 of the second period, Cunnin from Eriksson Ek, that breaks the shutout for Jones. And I was like, it'd be nice if Jones got a shutout. He's had a pretty good game. I spoke too soon, didn't I? Hurdle would score on the power play from Couture and Burns at 17:04. However, less than a minute later, Stahl from Hartman at 17:59. You're getting close. No. Kane would score from Couture and Burns at 19:15. That's a power play goal. It is 6-2 in favor of San Jose going into the third period. Even the Sharks can't blow a 4-goal lead in the third period. So this guy goes, all right, well, I can do the review for tonight. I can do the preview for tomorrow because what's going to happen in the third? I mean, really. Come on. So Hunt scored from Cunnin at 8:07. And what I did was, so I have the board here and I'm talking to people, but I can see half the TV. Now, while I can see half the TV from my angle, you can't see any. Now, I would have no problem with the idea of you guys being able to see what's going on in the background, but the National Hockey League has a problem with that. Copyright holders have a problem with that. So if I do that, odds are that the video and all of the ads and everything, they go away from me and they go to the National Hockey League, and then I'm just volunteering for them. And I don't enjoy that idea. So I could see what was going on while I was talking to you guys, and I'm like, wait, let's go. Oh, okay. All right, well, again. And again was here. Donato from Stahl at 9:21. And then the game got kind of fighty. And I didn't see exactly what started it, so I had to kind of go back. Hartman takes a slashing major. And really, in all honesty, if not for that slashing major, who knows? Minnesota might have come back and won this game. Now, they were down 5-on-3 for a while, and San Jose couldn't score. So you can look at that and go, hey, Minnesota killed that off. But if it wasn't for that, they could have scored more goals. Jones was kicking rebounds out right, left, and center. Like, he was leaving juicy rebounds out that whole game. And even when the Minnesota Wild were down 4-0 to start the second, they were talking about it. They were talking about how, well, Jones looks shaky and he's just kicking these rebounds out. And if they could just bury a couple of these rebounds. So the major penalty gets killed, and then shortly thereafter, Zucker scores from Zuccarello and Stahl at 15:25. And again, anytime Zucker and Zuccarello combine on a goal, I'm a happy man. Bob Cole retired a year too early. It would have been great to hear him trying to say Zuccarello. And if we could get some reason that Don Cherry would have to say both names back to back, that would be great. Anyways, so that made it 6-5. At that point, Peter DeBoer goes, what? And he calls a timeout. And it is the second time tonight that a coach calls a timeout that I say, this is the perfect time to call a timeout. Stahl had a breakaway that Jones denied, at which point they went, like you could hear the Minnesota announcers going, because these 3 shots by Minnesota were the first 3 shots for Minnesota in the period. San Jose was out shooting them, but they'd allowed 3 goals. So Jones, who had a good game going into the third period, decided, The Sharks' defense was awful too, though. So while we're all going to pile on Jones, let's not let that defense off the hook. They had opportunities to get that puck out. They kept turning it over, and the Wild did hit a post on one of those turnovers. So they were a post away from forcing overtime. And if this game had gone to overtime, I have no doubt Minnesota would have won it. San Jose is just shooting themselves in the foot and giving up prime opportunities, and just their defense right now is just miserable. And the biggest problem, and again, I hate to harp on it, but they're spending so much money on Karlsson and Burns and Vlasic, and yet their defense is their problem. And their goaltending is an issue. So when you're spending that much money on it, and you're kind of up against the cap too, going to be an interesting road forward for these guys. And for fans in Ottawa, they're probably like, why didn't Minnesota come back and win? We want 2 lottery picks this year. 3 stars were Couture, Hurdle, and Stahl. Power plays, Minnesota went 0 for 3. If their power play had hit, again, we would have seen overtime. San Jose went 2 for 4. If their penalty kill had hit a couple of more times, they would have won it. So it's just one of those things. Both teams were struggling, and tonight we saw why both teams are struggling. This was not a great game for either team. Stalock saved 8 out of 12. Dubnyk saved 17 out of 19. Jones saved 21 out of 26. The shots were 12-10 San Jose in the first, 10-7 Minnesota in the second, and 12-6 in favor of San Jose in the third. 3 of the 6 shots went into the net for Minnesota. Final shots 31-26 in favor of the Sharks. So Jones' save percentage dropped. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video, and hey, I'm just glad I got this in under an hour. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And hey, thanks for all your support. We're cruising along. It's at 126,000. It's going ever higher. Thanks for all the recommendations, for the shares, for the comments, all of these things that tells YouTube, hey, this is a happening channel, stuff's going on. And that's thanks to all you guys. I will talk to you again soon.